It helps.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, good. How's everything going?
Good. My name is Owen Carr. Hi, everyone, and very excited to have Antira Mars with me, and very much looking forward to our time together. This is our first Car Talk series together, and we're excited to talk e-commerce and to talk about the marketplaces and how you can build a better business online and reach more customers. Welcome to the show. I'd like to start off by just inviting to share a few things about Antira, who's our special guest today, and I'll have her do some intros as well in a moment. But she's a very special leader at Spreetail, has been leading at the company about 4 years, but really been leading in digital creative and development for product and brand design now for over 15 years. And she's worked within both Buy Box Experts, which is the Spreetail Amazon advertising agency, as well as our core business, working with our partners across the world. And so, welcome to the show. And Tyra, hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Owen.
Fantastic. Well, would love to go through. I'll go through a quick outline of today's topics. We're going to talk a little bit about ad strategy around A/B testing, and also around just some of our latest creative and advertising learnings. At Spreetail, we work with many hundreds of brands across over 15 different channels throughout the US and Europe. And because of that, we're really at this crossroads of data where we're able to see more deeply into different categories and different brands and different channels than most anyone else is, because we're constantly ingesting millions of data points around traffic and conversion and customer interests, and all that data enables us to have a great view into what's happening in the business, the latest strategies and tactics to deploy. So really excited to jump in. I would invite everyone to put questions in comments and add those in, and we'll address those as we go through, and excited to talk through. And Tyra, I think the first topic up would be around optimizing ad strategy. So I know there's a lot we could talk through here, but if you have one bit of advice, one bit of summary thought, would love for you to share with everyone.
I think it was very aligned to what you were saying in the data-driven insights. I will say before scaling ad spend, brands should first build a strong data foundation. Many tend to dive into Amazon advertising without fully understanding their audience, conversion drivers, or competitive landscape. A suggestion is to start by optimizing listing content and auditing past performance to identify high ROI campaigns, because something that we find out is that because even the best ad strategies can make up for a weak product page.
Oh, interesting. Maybe speak more about the content side on the ad strategy. I think that wouldn't be, at least in the traditional sense, when we think about an ad or a promotional campaign, we might not tie it back to content. But be curious if you could lay that out a little bit for us, maybe for some of us that are not as familiar with how to drive a great ad campaign.
I'm thinking that you can improve both ad targeting and creative performance kind of continuously, right? Uh, by refining your audience segmentation and creative execution, optimizing ad targeting by using brand, competitors, and category targeting to capture demand at different intent levels, and leveraging on Amazon Marketing Cloud AMC for different audience insights. So that's like part A. And then you can mainly focus on the creative enhancement by using lifestyle imaging, compelling headlines to align with shoppers' intent and stand out in search results. So the organic part goes very hand in hand with the paid media, right? You cannot put out a display advertising and then take a look at the page and it looks like something completely different. So I would say that can help you test different ad placement to identify the most effective engagement points and maintain consistent branding across all formats to strengthen recognition and brand trust.
Fantastic. That makes a lot of sense. Curious if there's any brands or brand stories that come to mind recently that you've been working on at Spreetail or by Boss Experts
Yes, I do
that
have an
maybe you saw some
example.
of these things come to life.
Yeah, so a good example of adoption and results will be on a spiritual side, I2Poly. We basically launched over 158 Premium A Plus over the last year. That alone really improved their weighted SLQS from 60% to 87.3%. And we were able to improve the overall conversion rate to 3.55%. That's a plus 70 year over year. And the retail CVR factoring in buy box was 5.50, which is over 0.3% to last year. It might seem like a small win, but it's a huge one.
Yeah, that is a big win. And could you tell us what SLQS is? I'm sure there's a lot of folks who maybe don't know what that means.
Yes, so that's the internal listing quality score that we have. We basically optimize and try to understand what categories and what factors are within a piece of content. So that would be like an ASIN, for example, on a product page. So we tend to assess, okay, how many images do they have? Do they have a lifestyle image? Do they have a product page? Do they have A plus content? What is the format? And how much engagement can that convert to? Do we have the right product descriptions? Do we have the right titles? So we count lengths of titles, content, bullet, descriptions, and copy, and we come up with a score to identify what is the potential that we can bring this page to.
Right. And if you drive up your score, of course, you'll improve your conversion. And then when you do drive ad spend and traffic, just like we saw with this partner I2Poly, we saw really increasing metrics all around. I think that's
Exactly.
probably a common misconception in advertising and concept, and it's in content. It's the notion that if I invest over here, then I'm having to kind of pull back investment, or if I see one area improve, then I'm going to kind of worsen somewhere else. But in reality, if your content and your conversion improve, then that makes your ads tremendously more efficient, and you can actually dramatically increase how much you're spending and get a lot more revenue and dollars for it. And so we
Yeah.
must be careful, I think, not to be complacent sometimes with what worked in the past or what's worked last year or in prior seasons. And we have to
Yeah.
keep kind of learning and observing
I
and
would
testing.
say,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say like small changes and a small test can make a huge difference.
Hmm.
When you try to really revamp fully a page and you try to spend a lot of money on advertising, it might not bring the conversion that you will expect just
Right.
because you're changing things too fast for the users and even for Amazon to identify those changes.
Right.
So try to always change like maybe your first bullet or a little bit of your title or kind of swap the images to see what is the story your user is trying to take.
Right. Well, and that actually kind of ties into another topic we wanted to hit into, which is A/B testing. Probably one of the things that we all learned in statistics was, the more input variables or variables you have, the harder it is to pull out which variable is actually driving your output and your result. And so, yeah, talk to me a bit about A/B testing. How would you explain the value of it? How would you explain what it is, just to understand what A/B testing is and how it works?
I love that you were mentioning statistics, Owen, because I think of A/B testing as a scientific method for marketing. So usually we tend to, coming from a graphic design background, right? We tend to say like, oh, this looks good, but what does it drive for the users? So that's kind of like the philosophy that we use in the department.
Yep.
And really, without testing, decisions are based on assumptions rather than data. By running control experiments, brands can make data driven decisions, improve ROI through small but impactful optimizations, like I just mentioned, and gain a competitive advantage by continuously refining their approach. Brands that test, learn, and adapt the fastest will always stay ahead. So that's my main takeaway of what A/B testing is.
Yeah, they're fascinating. Fascinating. And yeah, maybe talk to us about how A/B testing can be used to gain insights for a brand. If I'm a brand and I'm trying to grow and build, maybe how are some of the ways that I would use it or go after it?
I will say a small but meaningful test, like I mentioned. So main image variations, always test your lifestyle versus your product only. Different products and different categories will have different narratives where your consumer is buying, right? Kind of identify what drives the most engagement. Is it like a family in a pool, or is it a couple in a jacuzzi, or what does it interfere with like the mindset of your user? Then
Right.
you have titles, keyword focus versus benefit driven. Kind of identify test A versus B. I think that can be a great insight.
Mhm.
Add copy and headlines. CTA focused, so conversion driven versus feature focused messaging can be a good one to have, just because you can see, okay, am I driving the right actions by having this just CTA? Or those people are interested in learning a little bit more about my product before they want to kind of make a purchase.
Hmm.
And then A plus content modules, I will say focusing on comparison chart versus storytelling formats. Maybe one will apply better for a type of product that becomes from a family, or you want to kind of compare it between different models that you have, or what is the story you're trying to tell? Is it is it a family? Is it engagement? Is it the small features that it has? Is it the benefits that it will drive to you in the long term?
Hmm.
The return of investment, you really need to consider all these things when making a purchase for different categories.
Sure. Now, some of the platforms have A/B testing mechanisms on them to help. Other platforms don't, and so you'd have to rely more upon a partner with knowledge like Spreetail to do it for you. But I'm curious if you could speak about that, kind of what A/B test is like on different channels, whether that's Home Depot or Target or Amazon, and then how long do you need to kind of do these tests for? Is it weeks? Is it months? Is it days? Curious if you could talk about those things.
Amazon, on their side, with their A/B testing platform, you can start seeing results within a couple of weeks. It will start giving you initial data of this is performing better or that's performing better. And then it will ask you to make a choice, right? Like, do you prefer to publish A or B? I prefer to leave them running for a little bit longer, just because by making those small changes in the long term, we don't know if it's a high season for the product. So I think
Right.
there's a lot of things that influence in the
Right.
purchase decision. If we're doing pools in the summer, of course, it's going to be a higher conversion, or people might be clicking more in the images because it's related. But maybe if you're shopping for a pool in the winter, you might want to look at the cost benefit analysis on how long and how lasting this product is going to be for me and my family.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. Great to hear. Um, and Spreetail has been doing a lot of A/B tests. I know that we have our own test and learn environment because of all the data and information we have, and we provide those services to our brands. But yeah, curious if any recent tests come to mind that you found interesting or exciting that you might want to share.
I think all of them are exciting, Owen, and all of them are ongoing, which is really cool. We have a very large experimentation department that we use to get the information to our listing optimizations and keep on retesting what we hypotheses are. So
Mm,
we are currently running several tests to refine our advertising and creative strategies, focusing on main image and title testing to
mm,
determine which format drives higher click-through rates and conversions. Basically, we want to identify the most effective messaging for attracting and converting shoppers. And we are exploring AI generated titles and product descriptions, which is really
mm,
cool. We really want to understand whether machine generated content can
uh-huh,
match or outperform human created assets. And we also have a hybrid of both. So I think that's
mm.
really cool. The goal
That-
really is to evaluate efficiency, engagement levels, and consumer trust in AI driven creative elements.
yeah, that's fantastic. Let's pivot a bit and talk into move into our last topic, which is what are some of those learnings? And you talked a little bit about those, but I'll kind of dive a little deeper into that. Yeah, you talked about some different tests across image, across title, and AI. Could you speak more so to some of those items?
Yes, so our tests on main image optimization and title variation are still ongoing, but the early insights are already shaping our creative optimization approach. We have been changing our SOPs and internal processes to match that AI capacity that we're integrating. And as the testing continues, we're using these insights to refine our content strategy and ensure that pretty much all the creative elements is optimized for better ad engagement, click-through rates, and of course, organic conversion that is our specialty in the creative department. Moving forward, really, these learnings will guide how we develop ad creatives, optimize listings, and allocate ad spend, ensuring that our strategy remains data driven and adaptable to evolving shopping behavior.
Hmm. That's fascinating. If you were to, um, it sounds like some of the creative and advertising tests, in general, that the outcome is more focused on the conversion side of the equation versus the traffic improvement side. And I think that, curious if you could speak to that a bit. But from my vantage point, within the larger infrastructure of retail, we have a lot of SKUs and items that may only convert at a ratio of 1 or 2 or 3%, which means 100 people come into that product page and maybe only 1 or 2, 3 buy, and then 97, 98, 99 leave with nothing. And so by testing and learning how to getting that, from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 is really the beginning heart of where you should focus when you're building your SKUs and your brands. Because otherwise you're kind of fruitlessly driving a bunch of traffic to a listing that may not be converting well, and then it's expensive and it's just not efficient. Is that what you see as well when you look at the data?
Yes, I think the main focus that we have overall, both in BB and Spreetel, is the ROI that we have on the brands that we have. So our main focus is conversion, but also how can we position our brands to be like on page one or be like top level that you can easily find them. So that's kind of like the second part that it becomes organic from optimizing the pages. The more click-through rate we have on those pages, the better positioning they get in Amazon.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's fantastic. Well, let's pivot a bit and talk about Buy Box Experts. Curious what the latest is in our development there, as we continue to hone and improve our agency services for our brands.
Yeah. So really in BB, we focus on refining our full funnel advertising strategies since it's mostly advertising focused, integrating brand build efforts with performance driven tactics. A good example of this holistic approach that I like to call it, it's Mackenzie Childs. Is one of the brands that have been the longest with BBE, and throughout 2024, we optimized over 1,000 ASINs and kicked off the year with not only a 33% increase quarter to date and year over year conversion, but a 10x over year improvement in keyword placement above the fold and on page one. So really the main experimentation that we are doing on Spreetel, we're applying those learnings to BBE throughout the year. And the same with the BBE learnings from creative strategy and creative optimization, we're applying them over the Spreetel pipeline. I think a major highlight that I can share with you, Owen, was the Amazon Advertising Academy that we held in January, where
Oh,
we
right.
trained our teams, yeah, on how to optimize ad spend for both discovery and conversion, the best practices for sponsor ads, DSP, display, and both displayed and video, and the role of creative storytelling in ad performance. So it's very cool to see all the teams coming together.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Very busy indeed.
Yeah, busy Q1.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot happening right now in e-commerce as always, and there's a lot of coming off a very strong, momentous year in 2024. Looking for a very strong 2025 and seeing a lot of great improvements.
Yeah.
Um, let's step back and summarize some of the things we've talked about today, just to help folks have some key takeaways. Um, Maybe let's start with the trends. Yeah, just what, 1, 2, 3 key top takeaways you might highlight for folks as they think about the year and how to prioritize their resources and focuses for 2025.
I think the trends that are really shaping the Amazon advertising landscape, it's AI and automation are playing a huge role in creative and targeting. Retail media network are evolving the Amazon's competitive space, and then full funnel marketing is becoming essential for brand growth. The presence that you have on your webpage, on your Instagram, on your TikTok, and then translate that presence to your Amazon, to your Target, to your Walmart page, it's crucial for you to be successful. With so many other people out there having this kind of thinking, right? Like you need to be easy to find and identifiable.
Hmm. Fantastic. And if I'm a brand and I want to kind of think about how I can really crystallize those items to lean into them, what are more attainable or kind of reachable things that a brand could focus on today?
I think leveraging on AI tools to automate and optimize ad placements. Um, like I mentioned with the marketplace, thinking beyond Amazon, integrating your campaigns across retail media networks. And one thing that is super important and that I mentioned at the very beginning, blend organic and paid strategies. Don't focus only on investing all your money on advertising, but make your brand visible, make your brand an statement brand. So a strong brand presence really fuels better ad performance.
Hmm.
And as a final thought, the brands that stay ahead are the ones willing to test, adapt, and evolve. So those ones that stick to outdated strategies, I think, in the end will fall behind.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, what a big key approach it's retail and other leading companies is a zero-based budgeting approach, which is, hey, I'm not going to assume anything from last year or any prior decisions means it's the right decision for today. I'm going to start fresh and think freshly from all the data and information I have today and make a new decision. And I think
Yes.
that's what I really hear you saying with brands. There's so much that's changing. There's so much in the digital landscape that's evolving that you really have to constantly remind yourself that the things you've done in the past, the things that got you to where you are today, may or may not be the things you need to prioritize for tomorrow. And even if you've honed the system perfectly to yesterday at midnight, all the engineers at all the different companies we partner with, whether that's Home Depot or Target or Lowe's or Amazon or other, they just updated their algorithms. And so now there's new data, new insights, new ways, new mobile ways of searching and connecting. So we
Yeah.
constantly have to be learning to quickly to stay up to speed and not get too archaic. Well, and Tyra, it's been fantastic talking with you. And I think that if anything, for those of us that have a lot of knowledge and insight in the creative and ad space, hopefully have a few key areas just to reaffirm our priorities and our commitment to testing and learning. For those of us that are newer to the space, it's some things to go back and think about as we're still early into the year of 2025. And how can I shape my brand and build for a better tomorrow? But overall, thank you so much for your time today, and wish you the best with all the areas of focus for 2025.
Thank you, Owen, and thank you for having me. This has been great.
Yes, thank you.